Our third Comet awardee tonight is being given to a team, Vera and Jim Eubank. Vera and Jim are being recognized for their philanthropy in our community and their support of Palomar College. Although Jim passed away, his spirit lives on within our community and, of course, at Restaurant Row. His son, Bob, will be joining Vera tonight in accepting tonight's award. Please enjoy the video on Vera and Jim Eubank.
Jim and Vera Eubank met in 1943 at a USO event held at the First Presbyterian Church on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. Jim was in the Coast Guard at the time and was a lifeguard and competitive swimmer. Vera was a promising music student and performed in numerous concerts throughout the region. Despite such opposite interests, they fell in love. After they had been dating for several months, Jim was recruited by the Office of Strategic Services to join a unit that would later become the Navy SEALs. Jim's assignment had a 10% survival rate, so the couple decided to delay marriage until Jim's return. While Jim and his unit infiltrated enemy lines, gathered intelligence, and sabotaged installations, Vera taught music and did her part for the war by providing music therapy for the wounded returning from duty. Upon Jim's arrival home in 1945, the two were married. Jim started what was to be a very successful career in the Los Angeles basin as a developer, and Vera continued to pursue her passion for music. The two became very active in the Newport Beach social and philanthropic community. Years later, with their two sons Bob and Jerry grown, Vera was looking forward to Jim's retirement and continuing their wonderful life together on the coast in Orange County. One day, though, in 1973, Jim asked Vera to take a ride with him to San Diego's North County. When they arrived in San Marcos, Jim brought Vera to a vacant lot at what today is the corner of San Marcos Boulevard and Via Vera Cruz. At the time, the property was surrounded by chicken ranches. When Jim began sharing his vision for the property, Vera wondered, what is he thinking? A restaurant row in a town with 15,000 residents and poorly developed roads? But Jim was passionate about the prospects of restaurants in San Marcos, and he would often state, no matter what, people need to eat. The couple decided to settle in North County and began selling produce from the back of a pickup truck.
I remember that vegetable stand that he first started Old California Restaurant Row with, and Vera, I recollect her presence there, but it was many of the people, I'm sure, in San Marcos saying, well, what does he know that we don't?
I've found that it is the logical place to have a business because it's in the geographic center or the hub of the North San Diego County.
With business growing at a brisk rate, they built the first Rancho Mercado, which became the original farmers market in the region. Next, they started leasing space to restaurants and a food court that would lure travelers off the nearby highway. Keeping with the region's rustic charm, they called it Old California Restaurant Row. Jim did much of the work himself. He bulldozed the property and hauled river rock from the Paula Indian Reservation, along with 100-year-old lumber and timber beams from vintage buildings as far away as Los Angeles County. The whole family was involved. Their son Jerry worked as a carpenter, while Bob worked on the operations and marketing. 30 years later, California Restaurant Row has 18 thriving businesses, and many developers have copied the idea throughout the country.
When I think of my parents, I think of how I learned by listening and watching how the American dream really comes to be. Since they did come from very humble backgrounds, I saw that it was the efforts that they put in that came from a thought leading to an idea, leading to a conversation, leading to a plan, and ultimately to years of struggle and perseverance and hard work. And that is the essence of the American dream.
The city of San Marcos was so lucky. Jim and Vera were visionaries. They were like pilgrims or something very special to San Marcos. They founded Restaurant Row, and it became a place for everybody to come, no matter if they were a student, a professor, business people. They had something for everybody. They had every price point. They just put San Marcos on the map.
In 1991, the Eubanks made their first contact with Palomar College. Ann Boggs, former First Lady of the college, approached Vera with the thought of organizing a black tie gala to raise money for the college community. The first committee was made up of just 3 people and has grown over the years largely because of Vera's involvement.
Vera was probably one of the most dependable committee members I had. She was always there. She always did what she said she was going to do. You never had to check up on her. She had really good ideas, and she would present them with a bit of humor too sometimes when we're having sort of at odds with each other about what we should do.
Both my parents have considered Palomar College to be a major link in life of the North County, and they've watched it grow over the years. So 19 years ago when she was asked to work here, she had numerous friends at the college, and so she found this to be something that she felt she could do, and she threw her whole self into it.
She raised a lot of money for Palomar College, yay. She was also in the Boys and Girls Club. She was absolutely very visible in the community. She has helped numerous students get a scholarship because of the money that was raised.
I think the defining thing that identifies Vera and Jim are their combination of working together. Jim was outgoing, outspoken. Vera was that steady, reserved individual, the force behind Jim that got everything going in regards to children, education, the community at large. They were a team that was unbeatable.
Both Vera and Jim have been presented with honorary degrees from Palomar as recognition for their significant involvement in the growth of the city, the region, and the college. Tonight, 19 years after Vera's first contact with Palomar College, the Eubanks are being honored with the 2010 Comet Award for philanthropy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vera Eubank and her sons Bob and Jerry tonight. It's kind of heavy. Maybe one of the boys. Maybe I could keep it here.
Thank you very much. Kind of stole some of my words here, but nevertheless, when Jim and I and our 2 sons started Old California Restaurant Row, there was very little development in San Marcos. There were very few buildings over at Palomar College, and there were 20 chicken ranches. 20 years ago, Ann Boggs, the wife of George Boggs, who was president of Palomar College, called me one day and she said, "Vera, we'd like to start something around here to gain money for the college." And I said, "Well, I'm kind of busy, but okay, that sounds like fun." And then Ann and Dale Waldenius and I started the gala events. Now there are 15 people on the committee, and the events are bigger and better. We had to name everything, we had to design it, and it's doing just about the same thing, only better. We have never dreamed the area would grow so much. Now we have one of the best community colleges in the nation. The debate team won many honors. The woodshop students have won many awards, many making beautiful chairs, tables, and other wood items. The glass vases from the art department have also won many awards. President Bob Deegan and his staff have done a wonderful job, along with the governing board and the outstanding teachers. And again, I thank you for this memorable night for me.
Well, on behalf of my dad, I'd like to say that in the early 70s, when my parents first came down here to San Marcos area, they looked around and there was a population of 12 to 15,000 people at the time. But he looked at Palomar College and said, why would they place a major college in an area so sparse with the chicken ranches and a dairy right here, and the official mascot being the fly, with all the chicken ranches? And so he just started to realize, looking at a map, this was the very hub of the North County. And so following in suit of what Palomar College did, located instead of in a major population center, locating in an area in the center of the growth, in the hub, like my dad was describing in the video. This is why he located, like Palomar College, in this area for the center of servicing the entire North County. I remember coming down here and looking at and questioning some of his logic when I saw the two-lane pothole country road, and wondering if he wants to put a large shopping center in that area, and especially restaurants. But it seemed to make sense over time when things evolved. My brother and my first contact with Palomar College, was when my dad taught us how to sneak into the swimming pool for our workouts. And don't tell anybody that. But later on, after we got busted, Coach Jen became good friends with my dad, and he became more of an honorary swim team member in his 80s. So thanks a lot for San Marcos. Thanks for Palomar College and everything you've done.
I know Dad would have liked to have been here tonight with all his friends, and Dad was just, it was just great seeing the video. That was fantastic putting that together, Rich, by the way. And, Dad was all about creativity. It wasn't about the outcome. It was about the doing it that mattered, and that's what we learned from him. And the enjoyment of creating something. He didn't care how it came. If you made a lot of money, that's great. But the doing was the whole thing for Dad, and the creativity. But I'm sure he wishes he was here tonight with everyone, and we sure appreciate this very much. Thanks.